Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Ubuntu 24.04, which is the latest LTS release version from Canonical, has finally been released. Now I'm making this video on April the 26th, 2024, which is just a day after its official release, which was on April the 25th, 2024. Now in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to install Ubuntu 24.04 desktop on Oracle VirtualBox. So on your screen, you can see I'm on the official Ubuntu download page for Ubuntu 24.04 desktop version. Now, just like its predecessors, Ubuntu 24.04 also provides other ISO image files. So if you open a new tab and search for Ubuntu 24.04 ISO and hit enter, all right, so you can go with this result number 3. So I'm going to open this on a new tab. So here you get a selection of ISO images that come with Ubuntu 24.04. So for example, you can see it provides a desktop image, all right, which is ideal if you want a graphical user interface, okay. Also, you can download a server ISO image. So this is for those who prefer to use Ubuntu as a server or to use it in an enterprise environment, all right. So it will not install a graphical user interface, unlike the desktop image, okay. So also you can go with the netboot turbo file, okay. So down below you can also see other ISO image file formats, okay, that are available for download. So for this video, we are going to stick with the desktop ISO installation, okay. So on this page, you can see some useful information. For example, you can see this is the latest LTS release from Ubuntu, which is aimed for installing on desktop PCs and laptops, all right. So here you can see what's new in the latest LTS release. For example, you can see we have a polished desktop installer, as you're going to see during the installation. You get a new app center, you get GNOME 46, you get advanced Active Directory group policy object support for Ubuntu Pro users, and so much more. So equally important, you can just go over the system requirements and see the minimum requirements that you need on your system to install Ubuntu 24.04. All right, so that's about it. So now the first step in the installation of Ubuntu is to download the ISO image file. So just click on Ubuntu, just click here on this button, download 24.04 LTS. And by the way, to get to this page, what you need to do is to open a tab, and you can just search Ubuntu 24.04 desktop like that, hit enter. Okay, so on the first result, just click on it, and as you can see, we have gone back to the same page we were here, okay. So what you need to do is just click on download 24.04 LTS. All right. So this will automatically download the desktop ISO file on your PC. So if you navigate to this to this icon here, okay, so you can see the download is in progress, but I already have this ISO image file already on my system. And by the way, it's quite enormous. It's 5.7 gigabytes. All right. So ensure you have a very fast and reliable internet connection so that you can download it in the shortest time possible. All right. Now, once you've downloaded the ISO image, the next step is to create a virtual machine for Ubuntu 24.04. So at this point, I'm going to open Oracle VirtualBox and start creating the virtual machine for Ubuntu 24.04. So to do so, I'm going to click on the Oracle VirtualBox icon on the taskbar. So this will pop open the Oracle VirtualBox Manager, as you can see. So to the left, you can see a few virtual machines that I've created in the past. So you can see the VM for Ubuntu 23.04 and 22.04. And before I move on, I just want to let you know that I'm using Oracle VirtualBox 7.0, and just to prove that, I'm going to click Help and About VirtualBox. So as you can see on this About pop-up window, I'm running Oracle VirtualBox 7.0. I've made a video on how to install Oracle VirtualBox 7.0 on Windows 10 and Windows 11. All right, so check on the link above. All right, so I'm going to close this. So now I'm going to create a new VM for Ubuntu 24.04. So I'm going to click on new, and this opens the virtual machine creation wizard. All right, and I'm going to provide the name for the virtual machine. So I'm going to provide the name Ubuntu 24.04 like that. So I'm going to leave the second option the way it is. So this specifies the folder for the VirtualBox virtual machines. So for the ISO image, I'm going to click on the down arrow here. Then I'm going to click on other. So this takes me to the path where I have saved the ISO image for Ubuntu 24.04. So I'm going to click on this and click open. All right. So here I'm going to check skip unattended installation so that I get the flexibility I need to select the parameters for the virtual machine. All right, so with that out of the way, I'm going to click next. So in this step, I'm going to select the virtual machine's RAM and the processors or the CPUs. So for the base memory, I'm going to drag this slider to the right and select the preferred memory. So I'm going to give it 4096 megabytes, which is something to do with 4 GB. Then for the processors, I'm going to give it 3 CPUs. All right. So I'm going to click next. So in this step, I'm going to specify the virtual hard disk size. So once again, I'm going to slide this to the right and I'm going to give it something to do with 220 gigabytes. So of course you can select your preferred disk size and ensure that the minimum is 25 gigabytes as we've seen, which is the minimum requirement. All right, so I'm going to click next. So on this step, you're given a summary of all the configurations that you have chosen for your virtual machine. All right, so take some time and quickly go through the choices you've made. So in case you need to modify or change one of the parameters, you can click on back. But for us, I'm comfortable with all the choices that I've made. So I'm going to click finish. And once you do so, you're going to see your virtual machine listed on this left sidebar here. So as you can see, we have already created a virtual machine for Ubuntu 24.04. Now, before we power on the virtual machine, we need to make a few more changes. So I'm going to click on settings. So on the settings pop-up window, I'm going to click on display. So here I'm going to increase the video memory from 16 megabytes, which is the default memory. So I'm going to increase this to something about 80 megabytes. All right. Next, I'm going to check enable 3D acceleration. So the reason we are making these changes is because some users have reported to having a black screen once the VM appears and they are not able to proceed with the installation. So I highly recommend for you to increase the video memory to something about 80 megabytes and above, and also enable 3D acceleration. So with that out of the way, click OK to save the changes. All right. Now we can go on and click the start button. So this is going to power on the virtual machine and you'll see it shortly on the screen. So as you can see, the VM has come on and this is what you see. All right, so the grab menu provides 3 options. So we're going to go with the first one, which is to try or install Ubuntu. So I'm going to hit enter. All right. So just give it a few seconds as the installer prepares to install Ubuntu. All right, so you can see the Ubuntu logo. So this shows you that the installer is getting ready to install Ubuntu. So you'll see this for about a few seconds to something to 1 minute or 2 minutes. So just be patient. And there we go. So as you can see, we have the installation wizard for Ubuntu 24.04 displayed on your screen. So just give it a bit of time for it to prepare to install Ubuntu. And there you can hear the pop-up welcome sound for Ubuntu 24.04. So as you can see, the installer has received a polished look, and by the way, the installer is based on Flutter. All right, so this is quite different from what you've been used to. All right, so I can see it's quite polished and looks quite neat. Okay, now to get underway, you'll be first of all required to select your preferred installation language. So I'm going to go with English, which is the default here. So I'm going to click next. So Ubuntu 24.04 has introduced a few steps, and one of these is accessibility in Ubuntu. So it provides a number of options that allows you to improve your user experience. So for example, here you can see seeing. So once we expand this option, you can see a variety of options. For example, here you can increase the size of your font or text by toggling on this option here. So you can see the font now appears much larger. All right, so here if we turn on high contrast, you can see it modifies the appearance of the graphics. All right, so I'm just going to leave everything the way it is for now. Okay, so just take your time and go over these options and try to see what works for you. So for now, I'm going to leave everything as it is, and I'm going to hit next. So here you're going to select your keyboard layout. So by default, this is set to English US. Okay, and you can just type a few words here to test your keyboard. All right, so I'm just going to type hello. All right, welcome to Ubuntu 24.04. all right, so everything seems just about okay. All right, so I'm going to hit next. So in this step, you're going to be required to connect to the internet. So VirtualBox provides wired connection, and I'm going to go with the default. So I'm going to use wired connection, and I'm going to hit next. So here you'll be provided with two options, either to install Ubuntu or try Ubuntu. So when you select try Ubuntu, you're going to use Ubuntu without installing it on your hard drive. Okay, but for now we are going to install Ubuntu. So I'm going to go with the first option, which is pre-selected by default, and click next. So here you asked how you'd like to use Ubuntu. So you're provided with two options, either interactive installation or automated installation. So for interactive installation, you'll be guided step by step on how to go through in the installation, and we are going to go with this selection. Okay, so I'm going to hit next. So here you are asked the nature of installation. So by default, Ubuntu 24.04 provides a minimal installation. So it allows you to just install the essentials such as the web browsers and basic utilities. And I think they did this intentionally to prevent a situation where you have bloatware and a lot of unneeded applications. So if you just want the minimal version of Ubuntu 24.04 with just the basic graphical applications, you can go with the first step. Otherwise, you can select the extended selection. So this provides you with a whole range of applications that you need. Like for example, you'll get the LibreOffice suite and a collection of other utilities and other applications. So we're going to go with this for now. All right, so I'm going to click next. So here you're asked to install recommended proprietary software. All right, so I'm going to select to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi, as well as download and install support for additional media formats. Okay, then I'm going to click next. So in this step, you'll be provided with two options of installing Ubuntu 24.04. So the first option is erasing the disk and installing Ubuntu from scratch. All right, so this is a guided installation. All right, so you can either choose this. So when you choose this, the system will automatically partition your hard drive. Okay, so for our case, I'm going to go with the manual installation and show you how you can partition the hard drive. All right, so I'm going to go with the manual installation and click next. So for manual partitioning, this is what you'll find. Okay, so we have our volume labeled SDA. Okay, so we have 236.96 of gigabytes. All right, so the first partition I'm going to create the boot partition, and I'm going to give it 2 gigabytes. So I'm going to click free space here, then I'm going to click the plus button. All right, so here, so for convenience, I'm going to change this to gigabytes. So here I'm going to specify 2 gigabytes, and the file system is ext4. All right, and the mount point I'm going to select boot. Okay, so this is the first partition that I'm going to create, and I'll hit OK. Okay, so you can see it has already been created and labeled SDA1. All right, so I'm going to repeat the same step. I'm going to click on free space, then I'm going to click the plus button. So the next step, I'm going to specify the swap area. So for the swap area, I'm going to give it twice the RAM memory. So here I'm going to give it 8 GB since my RAM is 4 GB. Okay, then here I'm going to specify swap like that, and I'm going to click OK. So far we have boot and swap. Okay, so next I'm going to specify the home directory. So this is where all my personal folders and files will go into. All right, so here I'm going to specify something like 180 gigabytes. All right, and for the mount point, I'm going to select home/home and click OK. All right, so for the remaining free space, I'm going to allocate it for the root, which is the top level directory. Okay, so here I'm going to specify something like 45 gigabytes. For the mount point, I'll select root and hit OK. So our partition table is now complete. We have all the essential mount points required for the installation of Ubuntu. All right, so now I'm going to click next. So here in this step, I'm going to specify my user account. So I'm going to type James. So for the computer name, I'm going to specify James VM. So the username James, then I'm going to specify my password. Then I'm going to confirm it. All right, so the passwords are the same. Okay, now I'm going to click next. So in this step, I'll be required to select my time zone. So on this global map, I'm going to click on it to choose my time zone. So I'm currently in Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, so you can select your preferred time zone based on where you are. So I'm going to click next. So here I'm going to review my choices. So my choices for the hard disk partitioning. So just go over the choices that you've made, and if everything seems okay, click install, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click install. So at this point, the wizard will copy all the files from the ISO image and install everything on your hard drive. All right, so this step will take quite a bit of time. So at this point, I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to be back once the installation is complete. So at this point, you can take some coffee break or take a walk as the installation gets underway. So see you when the installation is complete. And the installation of Ubuntu 24.04 is now complete. And as you can see, we are now being required to restart the machine. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to click on the Restart Now button, which will now enable us to boot into our new Ubuntu 24.04 system. So I'm going to click restart now. And by the way, the installation took roughly 12 minutes in my case. So this might differ on your case depending on your computing resources such as RAM and CPU. All right. So at this point, we are being prompted to remove the installation medium and press enter. So just by pressing enter, VirtualBox will eject the installation medium. So I'm just going to hit enter. So as you can see, the virtual machine is now restarting, and this will give us a chance to boot into Ubuntu 24.04. So just give it a few seconds to a minute or so. All right. Alright, so you can now see the Ubuntu logo appearing once again and preparing us to boot into the system. And there we go. So this is the login screen for Ubuntu 24.04. At this point, I would like to point out that in the first instance, I went ahead and logged into my Ubuntu instance, but then I realized I was having challenges with the graphical rendering of some applications. For example, when I launched the file manager, instead of getting a normal window, I realized that I was getting a white rectangle, and the same was replicated across most applications. So I did some research and I realized that the problem to this is the 3D acceleration that we enabled earlier. So instead of logging in directly at this point, I would advise you to first of all close your virtual machine and go ahead and disable 3D acceleration. And that is exactly what you're going to do at this point. So at this point, just power off your virtual machine. Okay, so I'm going to power this off at this point in time. So now I'm going to go back to the settings and disable 3D acceleration. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going back to the settings section, then to display, then I'm going to uncheck enable 3D acceleration and click OK. All right, so once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and click start to relaunch my virtual machine. Alright, so now we are back to our VM and the system has successfully rebooted. So I'm just going to log in here to my account. Alright, so I'll provide my password and hit enter. So this will usher me directly to the Ubuntu 24.04 desktop background, as you shall see shortly. And there we go. Alright, so immediately you log in, you are going to get a welcome wizard from Ubuntu. Okay, so this is the welcome wizard. All right, so just click on next. All right, so here you are prompted to enable Ubuntu Pro, so we will skip this for now. So I'm just going to go with the default and click next. So here you asked whether you'd like to share system data with the Ubuntu team. So it's upon you to decide whether you want to share or not. So for now, I'm just going to select no. All right, and click next. And finally, click finish to exit from the wizard. So here we are at our Ubuntu 24.04. As you can see, it has a very nice mascot. And so that's it about this lecture, guys. I hope you found this insightful. So please consider subscribing to my channel and leaving a like, as this will help me to create more of these videos. So in our next video, we are going to explore the new features that come with Ubuntu 24.04. So that's it, guys. See you in the next video lesson.